So in a previous video, we have this LiveView, which allows us to create a new space, ABC 1, 2, 3, but it won't allow us to submit without a description. So we have to have a description here. I'd like to change that. And there's no way to enter the space. So I'd like to add an interlink and render some 3D world eventually. So let's fix the allow empty description. So if we look at the live view, there is this form component which is responsible for rendering the form, which is just two inputs. And there's some triggers here. So if you edit the form, it will call validate. And if you submit the form, it will call save, which I believe will end up going to these functions: worlds change space here, and worlds update space and create space. So let's take a look at what these do. And underneath the hood, they just call the space change set to do their, it returns some kind of struct which will have some validation. So let's just go in there and edit this. And here we can see that it's casting the two attributes that it allows. So this is like a whitelist. Name and description, and it will cast it into strings. But here it's going to throw an error on the struct if you don't have a description. So all we have to do is remove this, save this, and let's refresh and try this again. So if I enter a new space X, Y, Z with no description, let's see if it gives us an error. Now it doesn't complain. All right. So allow empty description. Let's see if that breaks any of our tests. So it shouldn't break anything because even the test fixtures will probably include a description in there. So now, oops, start the server again. Let's add a destination. So let's go to the page that renders the list view. Back to the live view. We have index HTML, which renders this table. And we have show and edit. And maybe we'll just add an enter. So I'm not familiar with this action thing here. We have column. This might be a component or something. So this might require some other research actions. And then this is an action. Listing spaces, actions, new space. What happens if I just add a new kind of action here? So this is causing some kind of push into live view. Which I don't think I need that. I think it can just be a regular link, right? What if I do this? Okay, variable space unused. Okay, so maybe I don't need this. Okay, it renders a regular link. And we want to do sigil P, or is it like this? Oh, here's an example. Sigil P and the link, which is spaces. So I want to go to a static page. So I'll say S and then the space ID. And it will complain that, space does not exist. Oh, it is a component, so maybe you do need to pass in space. Is that how you do it? Now it should complain that there's no path here. So we can go to the router and create a path. So what if I said get S and you have a space ID, and we'll create a space controller, and that'll be show this space. Okay, so now we need to create a space controller. We can just copy the current controller that we have, which is a page controller. Let's just duplicate this. So space controller. And the params we want to match is that there is a space ID. And we want to render something like that. So we need to create a space HTML folder. And we'll just copy this over and call it show. Space ID is unused. Okay, we'll let it be unused for now. Let's see what happens. So if I click enter here, okay, it went to the right route, and there's no function clause matching show to. I mean, there is one. Let me try restarting the server. No function clause matching in the space controller show to. The following arguments were given to show to. Connection and the params is this. Ah, yes. This didn't match because keys are going to be strings. No show HTML template defined for space HTML. Okay. Oh, something else is missing. So I think we need a equivalent this thing. Space HTML EX. And right, so now we have a destination for this. So let's just write that it should have some kind of canvas element. We'll just say immersive web XR experience goes here. And because, let's add the space ID just to show that we're mapping it over. So we have the space controller gets the space ID from the parameters, and we can how do we inject this variable in here? Let me look at Phoenix render. Maybe there's another example. No. Render. Okay, so I think it's a keyword list. So do we just add that to the keyword list as space ID, like so? So that underline went away because I am using space ID, and then I should be able to reference it like this inside the template. So in the space HTML or the show HTML, you should be able to use at space ID like so. Okay, and it's there. Okay, HTML. One thing I want to check is that when I'm modifying this thing isn't auto reloading, and I think that comes from some kind of live reload, which is paying attention to components, controllers, and everything. Oh, okay. I copied this help from somewhere else, and these paths aren't right. So let me restart the server. Now when I change something to show, yeah, it's refreshing. Okay, so in a next video, I want to start on some kind of system or framework to enable rendering a 3D canvas. I might not get to the 3D canvas, but some framework to allow us to do that. And so to do that, we might need to customize the ES build, because right now we're using the vanilla stock version, or rather the Phoenix custom version of ES build, which it's invisible. Like there is no node modules folder in here. It's actually inside _build, I think, somewhere here. So if we want to have any kind of customization over the ES build, like using certain plugins, we might need to follow the instructions under the Phoenix documentation for customizing ES build, and that will allow us to do whatever we want. All right.